All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading, alerts, analysis, and live day trading. 8 for 10 now in the new room, so doing pretty good there. If you want to sign up, you get your first month $60 off, and that is until the 19th of this month, so running out of time for that. Come join us. It's been a lot of fun there. Also, for those of you who do like cycles, you purchase my cycles course. We're also doing a preview, 2024 preview, 2023 recap, cycle patterns, stuff like that. Get into detail and all that on the 29th, which is in 2 weeks. And that's for free. So if you buy the course, it comes with it. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here, we have the PPI number, and that was definitely cooled off, right? So it was definitely much cooler than expected. I believe it missed by like 0.4, so a pretty good miss there. But you're going to see the market's not really doing a whole lot, and you might ask yourself why. If the number was missing, isn't that bullish? Isn't that bullish, right? Here's the reaction. That was the high of the day, right? Well, the answer is it might be, yes, but you already rallied 2% yesterday, right? So that was the best was already priced in. So markets are stalling out here and they're starting to pull back. Additionally, you could look to, one other way of looking at it is, and the market's not really responding this way, but at some point it could, especially if, like I said yesterday, if the labor market starts to crack, the market would look at that type of a number and it would look at it and say it's bearish, right? But we're not really seeing that, right? We didn't really, the Qs did tick negative today by a small margin, but it's not like the market's selling off, right? That said, a couple of things lining up here. There is, I do have a proprietary sell indicator that's triggering right now. Does that mean that we're going to puke? No. I'm not calling for anything like that. But the market is stretched. I talked about this yesterday. Everybody was talking about, the market's so oversold, down here. And, if we just take this and duplicate that stretch from the 20 MA, we're way above that, right? So the market is stretched. We could get a pullback. It might only be a one-day pullback. Who knows? I think we'll probably hold up at least until Friday, maybe Friday morning, where the S&P index options expire. So we're sitting right around that 4,500 handle. It's a whole round number. The options market likes these whole round numbers, so we might just get pinned there until then. Additionally, kind of in this one thing in the sell camp, it is expiration today, and you're going to see here, courtesy of Spot Gamma, the market has not performed all that well after expiration Wednesday, and especially when it rallies up into it. So that's been kind of the case. We've talked about this a little bit lately. We have supportive flow in the market, and that's going to kind of go away after this week. So it's something to keep an eye on here. It's no secret the market's stretched and overbought. Maybe it keeps going higher because, everybody's waiting for a pullback. That's certainly a possibility. You remember back here where we kept selling off and everybody kept waiting for a bounce, and we kept selling because everybody was waiting for the bounce, and then we finally got it. We got the retrace, and then we kept going up. So again, eventually the markets will mean revert. It's just the way it works. Will that be today? It's certainly possible. Maybe today was the high. I don't really see us getting through. I talked about 45.25 this morning. I said that would be kind of the cap for the day. And we got up to 45.21. So that was it. And, we might just ping pong in this area for now. I'd be really surprised if we did break through this pivot though, this week. That would be a little bit of a surprise, considering where we've been and where we've gone. I mean, this is a 10% rally in 14 trading days. So think about that. How often does that happen, right? Think about the market cap that Apple and NVIDIA. NVIDIA has added an AMD and an Intel in the last, 2.5 weeks. So pretty big moves here. And obviously everybody's looking for mean reversion, or at least some people are. I know the cheerleaders on CNBC are telling you to get in Microsoft at any price, but I am not in that camp. But in any case, market's pulling in off the highs just a little bit, and we're flat to positive. So maybe a little bit of buyer exhaustion here. We are going to this pivot. We did pierce the pivot, and now we're pulling back in. So we'll see what we get tomorrow. Again, I'm not expecting a huge dump in any way, shape, or form here. But it's no secret the market is overbought, and we should see some backing and filling of some sort. I would think sooner rather than later here. Any case, triple Qs. Look at the high of the day here. So 387.75. And the high here is 387.98. This is probably not a coincidence. I was telling the trading room earlier this morning, it's very common during an OPEX week for you to get really close to a level and then not touch it. I've seen that happen multiple times. But you can see right there, 387.98 was the high, and we came within about 20 cents of it. And then we pulled back. So everybody's kind of waiting for that double top pierce, and it just never came. Doesn't mean it can't come tomorrow. The market, there's nothing to say this can't go higher. Like I said, I have a proprietary sell indicator. That does not mean, it's a nuclear short. It just means that we're starting to see a sell signal that could follow through. It doesn't mean we can't go higher. But right now it got basically to the double top for all intents and purposes. And I pulled back in. Let me just check the NDX here. So 15,932, doesn't look like we got there. So yeah, I got 20 or 30 points away. And on the NQ, you can see, I believe this was pre-market, 1662 and 1649. So, like 10, it's like 12 cents, 12 and a half, or $12.50, 12 and a half points on the NQ. That's nothing. And then pulling back there. So again, look at the extension here into double top. Logic would say that we need to consolidate or pull back before continuing higher. But again, it's not a guarantee. So don't ever think it isn't. I'm just here to show you guys the probabilities. Anyways, Russell 2000. So that was the big winner the last couple of days. And I talked about this level. Look where we went, guys. Picture perfect. Right into the 200, the 100, and this pivot low, and beautiful pullback in off of that level. And it's actually, we got 7 minutes left. I mean, if you get one sell program, this can go negative. So I'll check back in on this at the end of the day. I don't think it will, but that will be very interesting if it went red going into the end of the day. That said, a very strong move on heavy volume. Respect it. Russell is all over the map here. Look at these gaps. Crazy moves here. Right now, I'm not sure what it wants to do, but I would assume it's going to have to do some backing and filling if it wants to get through that. And the market's telling you that, right? So look at how far we had to pull back intraday off of that move. So, but Russell, big move there and nice reaction. Now only up 15 basis points. So let's see if it goes negative by the end of the day there. Dow here up 0.5%. So that is now into these pivots here. That may need to do some stalling out. I know it's had a good move. It got above my 345, 347 even area. But now you've got multiple pivots, and you've got, a weekly red bar there too. So, and we're overbought going into it again. All signs here point to some type of slowdown, consolidation, or a pullback. We need the bears to actually prove it, right? So we're not going to just assume that that's going to happen immediately. What you need to see is the bears make a move, and then when that happens, we can evaluate it from there. But as of right now, that's where I would favor the probabilities being. So in any case, semiconductors here via the SMH. Minor gap and crap down just a cent there. You can see yesterday you kind of had that, well, not really on the SMH. It was more so on NVIDIA. I had that kind of hanging man look. I think I talked about that yesterday. And the SMH, minor gap and crap today, new nominal all-time high. The SOX here, that has a doji candle after piercing that double top. So that is into some resistance as well. But semiconductors pulling back in, and nothing terrible, nothing great. One thing I have noticed though is if you look at the semis here, flat, cloud software, red, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta. Google did manage to come back to the green line, as you can see, but a lot of these are red. Apple and Tesla having decent days, with Apple off the highs. My point is big tech starting to show laggardship. Things like the Russell, the KRE, banks, XLE actually turned red, was green earlier, but XLP up 72 basis points, right? So seeing signs of a little bit of rotation. I talked about this previously. Is like, if we're going to have a slowdown, if data starts to slow down, watch for consumer staples to outperform and watch for tech to start to slow down a little bit and you see some rotation. I believe we're starting to see that now. Again, we need to see more of it to really confirm that. But just one other thing to keep your eyes on there with tech there. But again, semiconductors on the softer side, even though it is green right now. IGV, we talked about, so finishing down over 0.5%. We do have Palo Alto after the bell, so that will move the market. That'll move the IGV. No idea what they're going to report, but obviously that it's a important cloud stock. But IGV down a little over $2. Again, little hanging man there yesterday too. So possible little sell signal here in the near term. We'll see if it back checks to 367. You got a gap. You've got all these pivots. So there's support on the downside if it comes in. But IGV coming in. Another sector that was strong today and hit the level perfectly, just like the IWM. Dow Transports. I told you guys, that line's been there. I haven't touched it. So, and what was the high of the day? 15,171, spot 97. What's this set at? 15,169, spot 7. So pretty good level there. We did get through the 200. I thought we might need a flag to get up here, but again, seeing some rotation potentially. Look at the jets. I'm almost not underwater on my calls now with the jets here. I had just written them off at this point, but big move there. Got all the way back to that 17 handle. So transport's kind of getting a little bit of a bid here. Now this is resistance. So I would be a little surprised. Maybe it could inch up to 15.3, but I would be a little surprised if we kept going here. And it's backing off the highs pretty nicely. But transports, nice bid, up 0.75%. Again, seeing a little bit of rotation here into some of these other sectors. All right, let's flip over to interest rates. So here's another thing that's interesting, right? So again, what I talked about earlier is the market was kind of priced for perfection with PPI, and you're seeing yields bounce, right? So yields are still bouncing, even though PPI, was a favorable print for bonds. But a lot of that dump yesterday tells you it's probably priced in. See the 5-year coming down, getting a bounce here. Same thing with the 10, and of course the 30. These can still go lower, but in the short term, nice little bounce there. And again, that's kind of what happens when it's, kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news type event there for bonds, but no real issues there at the moment. And that can still go down. Again, the 10-year can still get down to that, 4.2 area, and the 30-year can get down to 4.4. So in any case, XHB, nice bid early and then pulled back in. Again, just very overbought, very stretched. Went into this pivot here. We had a bear flag breakdown. We retraced, and that's where the sellers came in, and that's where sellers came in today. So XHB coming in. Again, this is very overbought. Again, like here's another really good example, right? Like, oh, look, we're so oversold, right? And, we're not we're not even close to that line there. As far as price is concerned. So very overbought here. We might need to go retest 78 in the near term, but again, big move for XHB, VNQ. That's been managing to scratch out a small gain, nothing crazy, up about 1/3%. Still has a lot of resistance in this area, and even more at 81. The XLF here up 21 basis points. I talked about banks earlier. I'm just going to give this the upside bias to about 35. I don't know if it gets there right away, but it's still acting well. And, you look at KRE this morning, it is off the highs, but just look at how this was bidding the last 2 days, right? It's definitely algorithmic buy programming, short squeezing, etc. Take a look at KBWB, same thing. KBE, same thing. But it could be just, money rotating out. So something to keep an eye on. XLF, we'll say 35 just for now. KRE, that still has resistance at that 200. I wouldn't expect it to get through that right away. KBE into these pivots. So that should be some resistance. And then you have the gap fill. There's the market closing. The gap fill at 40.69. So it looks like the Russell managed to scratch out a little bit of a gain. So 32 cents managed to be green by. But in any case, there's the levels on the KBE. I'll put the gap fill in there for you. All right, so 40.69 there. All right, broker dealers, XBD, again, up 70 basis points, just peaking through 490. If that can continue, it can go to 500, as you guys know. And that's really all I've got penciled in for it at the moment. You could make a case you got an inverse head and shoulder there. So watch that. That would take you to an all-time high. Broker dealers. So there you go. Let's get that exact, right about there. So that's valid, and that can go to 522. So XBD, keep that pattern. It's not going to be going in a straight line, but watch that pattern. If it closes below the neckline, it's failed. Crude here on the weaker side. So again, we talked about this trend line yesterday. We tagged it, rejected, and now we're going down. if this continues consolidating in this lower area, this can be a short down to, the upper 60s, maybe the 70s. So crude under pressure here. You do have a head and shoulder pattern on that in play. So just be aware of that. And, he held that resistance. So bears in control here on crude until proven otherwise. If this support goes, I think we're going down. XLE again, that got a nice pop early on. It was actually squeezing up very nicely and then faded all day long. So right back to the lows of the day, actually finished down 16 cents. Never closed back above that 200 moving average. Basically closed right on it yesterday. Yeah, essentially back tested the 20. So I don't like the XLE here. I think it needs to go lower. And we'll just leave it at that. I have no trade on it, no position. Same thing with XOP. If that loses that 200, it's going to 129. And then the OIH here, this is in much better shape, as you guys know. This could still go down, and I still probably wouldn't hate it. As long as you hold this 200 MA. Even if it breaks the 200 MA, right? So I've been talking about this monthly pattern. It's very good. Weekly pattern, you got a little falling wedge type look there. But even if you went down to 290 and retested the breakout area, which, again, we didn't build support on the way up. But even if you did that, like, your monthly green bar low is at 282. So this could still be a monthly inside bar. If you go all the way down there, and as long as you don't close below it on a monthly, it still could be theoretically okay. So OIH, no real problems, but, if energy goes down, it might get dragged down with it. But again, nothing terrible right now. Anyways, CCJ down 2% on the day. Again, no problems. That can still go to 45. URNM down just under 2% on the day. No problems. That can still go higher as well. Nat gas here got a little bit of a pop, came back in. Just an inside pattern here. There is inventories tomorrow, and there wasn't inventories last week. I'm not sure what this wants to do. If it wants to go down and test, 290 again, that's kind of where we broke out last time. It might need to do that off of inventories. If not, and you push higher, you get above 340. I think there's really not a whole lot stopping this outside of that 360 handle. So, all right, dollar index. That did get a bounce as kind of predicted here, and it went down to 104. So we knew that was going to be support. I talked about that for a long time. You hit the 100 moving average. I know I like 103.50 better. Maybe even 103, just a slight, move down, a slight bit lower move down. But either way, again, this is kind of why I just don't see a ton of upside for the market, because there's, this is a good breakdown with the dollar. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of support in here. So the dollar is not going to go down in a straight line. This is a giant move for a currency, especially supposedly the most stable currency in the world. So it's not going to go down in a straight line. It's going to get bounces. But this area should be very good support, especially if we got down there like in the next day or two. But dollar index getting a micro bounce. Near term 105 is resistance. If you get above that, it's 106. If you close above the breakdown bar at 105.73, then it gets very interesting on the dollar, and it probably turns bullish again. But until then, they've got to do a lot of proving to even get there. But I wouldn't rule it out because the dollar's been all over the map this year. Gold here flat. Nothing really doing there. We got to bounce off these moving averages, and it's just kind of hanging in there, slightly red on the day. Nothing great, nothing terrible. What's interesting is silver here. We had the kind of cool PPI number, and silver getting a bid up 1.6. Not sure if there's much to that, but it's getting a bid. We'll leave it at that for now. Got a little bit of a trend line there. We'll see what that does in that area. Tomorrow, platinum continuing higher, so 1-2-3 win streak. I think that should stall out and pull back, but I do like platinum here. Just waiting for a pattern on that. And kind of the same thing for palladium as well. I do like this area on palladium, as I've said previously, possibly for long-term accumulation. Copper, decent bid there, up 83 basis points. Still stuck at this trend line, though. I don't like the copper chart. As you guys know, I still think it needs to go lower. What would change that? If you got a weekly close above 376. So that would change it, and that would make it kind of short to medium term bullish. All right, lastly, Bitcoin. So it's still just kind of hanging in there. And take a look. So it was dumping all the way down yesterday, and then look at this pop. Yesterday, I speculated that there was a shakeout going on because they wanted to get people off the boat before the ETF news. Maybe that was it. So we'll see. I mean, I almost made a new high here today, just about. Let's see what it's doing intraday. Yeah, so it had a pop a few hours ago, and it's just kind of hanging up near the highs of the day. I don't see any problems with this. This probably wants to go higher. But we'll see what we get here. Alt's getting a bid here, not nearly as much as the big dog, but still getting a little bit of a green there. So we'll see what we get. If that news comes out, again, remember my kind of thesis here is that they're going to release the news. It's gonna surge, and then I think that's everybody's looking for the correction. You're going to get the correction when they stop everybody out after the ETF news. So buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. I've seen this a million times, but in the meantime, nothing to say it doesn't go to 40,000. Maybe even 43. Right. So what's this? You've got the big breakdown right there, and then there's a pivot there, and then above that's 48. So, and Bitcoin has a history of running through resistance and support. So, just be aware of that. But nice pop there for BTC. Lastly, let's just take a look at the spiders really quick. Again, a little bit of a narrow candle there. So again, just a chop fest. We'll see what we get tomorrow. I don't expect a ton of downside here, but I do think over the next couple of weeks, market has to do back-end filling consolidation, possibly maybe even a steep retrace. But again, it's on the onus of the bears to prove that. They've got to set it up by breaking, if you look at an hourly, you got to take out one of these pivots here. You got to take out this low. If you can do that, and then you get through this, 444.50, now we're talking about doing some chart damage, and I think the retrace starts then. So anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all